team. We broadcast and record council meetings to fulfil our public task obligation to enable members of the public to observe the democratic process. Data collected during the process will be retained in accordance with the council's published policies available through the council's website. Members of the council are reminded that they should follow the council's established meetings protocols, including around the use of the chat facilities, and that comments made in the chat facility are visible to all participants in the meeting, which may include members of the public who have received invites to the meeting. So with that, can I ask Diane, is there any apologies, substitutions, or declarations?
We have an apology for absence from Councillor Wilson. Convener will now move to an attendance roll call for proceeding to the declarations of interest. And the following members please indicate they're present at the meeting either in person or remotely. Councillor Armstrong. Present in the chamber. Councillor Brennan. Present in the chamber. Councillor Clougherty.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Hellier.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Maguire.
Present.
Councillor McVeigh.
In chamber.
Councillor Nelson.
In chamber.
Councillor Quinn.
Present remotely.
Councillor Reynolds.
Present remotely.
Councillor Robertson.
Present in the chamber.
Are there any declarations of interest?
Thank you, Diane. And with that, we move to agenda item number 2, which is the Community's Revenue Budget Update Report. Now, looking at Ian, I can't see Ian. Is it Mary that will be taking it? Mary?
Yeah, I'll take that. Thank you. This is the regular revenue monitoring report for the community side of the committee. The current projection is an overspend of £8,000. Further details are contained in section 3.3 and appendix 3. An update on the committee's earmark reserves is contained in section 3.4 and appendix 4. The committee are asked to note the current projection and that this small overspend is offset by a projected underspend in the education side of the committee. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mary. I'll open up to questions. Can't see anything in the room, and I can't see anything online. Can we agree the report?
Agreed.
Thank you. Can we move along to agenda item number 4, which is the capital report? And can I ask Hugh to start off on this? Hugh.
Yeah, for yourself, Convener. Thanks so much. Good afternoon, everybody. This is just an update on the community capital project and asset related items. You see within the report, 4.1 gives us a standard where we are at the present moment with the final accounts going forward into the financial year. Just give you an update on some of the live projects that we've got at the present moment. And you'll see within 3.5, the fixed assessment, asset management plan, and the life cycle fund, just to confirm that the work that we've got funded in partly through the Scottish Rail Association and money coming from UK government is now completed to upgrade all the lights, which is here. 3.6 is the King George New Glasgow Community Facility. That is now 99% finished. We're just waiting on a completion certificate, and Eddie will give you more details on that. 3.7 gives you an update on the money that we've received from the Scottish Government of £500,000 on the new Boxing Early Years Centre for after school care. In the report gives you an update of that, and we're hopeful that we'll have this work completed by the end of March, beginning of April. 3.8 gives you an update where we are. We've submitted a bid on behalf in partnership with Banksy Community Hub. We're waiting for final decisions made by the Regeneration Capital Board. We should have that noted back to the Council by the end of March 2025. You see within Appendix 2 of the report is the number of updates we've got around the asset working group that Tony chairs, and gives you an update where we are with all the groups that we're working with across the authority. Happy to take any questions on that.
Thank you, Hugh. Can I bring Eddie in first of all? Eddie, have you got any comments regarding George VI building, since it's been a long-awaited moment that we're very close to?
Thanks, Convener. Yeah, just as Hugh says, it's been certified practically complete in terms of the main contract works, but we still have a couple of small items just to kind of close out the building standards completion certification, and we're working on those just now. So, you know, it is, as Hugh says, 99.9% complete, and there's just a couple of small items. And obviously, we're working with Hugh and the team towards the official opening in April.
Okay, thanks for that. I'm going to open up to questions. I'll bring Tommy in first of all, Councillor McVeigh.
Thanks, Convener. My question's not on the King's Order 50, but please you know, but it is on the Folkestone what's up there, and we're actually concerned that the money's going to be spent for the end of March, and if not, we need to look at environment regeneration. So I'm just wondering if it overruns, is it going to become significant figure, and will that be continued within the ENR, current budget, or do we need to go to PNR to get additional funding?
Sure.
For yourself, Convener, we have the full Scottish Government allocation will be spent by the end of March. With additional work being carried out to strengthen the building through some of Eddie's work. So we've done all the stuff that we were planning to do, but there's still things like new boilers and things that we're decided to do within the building that was getting renovated. So that's the key thing. But we're confident that all the money will be coming from Scottish Government.
Will any excess be contained within the ENR budget as?
Eddie will come in with that from his side.
Eddie, would you like to comment?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Convener. Yeah, as Hugh says, we're taking the opportunity to address some of the other issues with the building in terms of upgrading some of the boiler equipment and the other plant room equipment, which is end of life, in which we'd have to invest in anyway. So that element of it will be funded from the existing core property budgets within environment regeneration. So yes, we'll contain that within our budgets. No need to go back to PNR.
And would it be fair to say that Folkestone more and more is becoming a very important hub for the council?
Coming on this, yes, it is. There's a few projects that have lined up with us. The early adopter company we've got for the from the Scottish Government and also the Fairer Futures. So what we are looking at is a hub approach to look at how we deal with anti-poverty initiatives. It's been called the Inverclyde approach, saying that basically we start with the family and what they need, and you try and link up all the services together around the people themselves. And the Scottish Government have given us money as pathfinders to look at the best way to take these projects forward. But the capital funding also came at the same time, which was a real gift for us. So we've done well out of the funding, but also it's allowing us as a council to look at how we work together and the whole systems support we have for families.
Thank you. Eddie, I noticed your hand's still up there. Was that just a legacy hand? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
No problem. Have we got any other questions on the capital? No. Can we agree? And apologies, I think I called that agenda item number 4. We're now on to agenda item number 4. So we've got the Community Learning and Development Update Annual Report, and Hugh will start us off on this. Hugh?
Again, Convener. This is the Community Learning Development and Community Safety and Resilience in Sport Services Annual Report for 24-25. Within the report, we give the work that's been carried out as part of the 3 teams. 4.1 gives you the way of moving to an inclusive communities model that's previously been to a committee. And this will be the last time that the CLD approach would be report will come to you. Within the report, there's a number of elements of strength that's taken place over the year, and as you can see within the report, I'm happy to take any questions about any outcomes that you've got.
Thank you. And I just like the snappy new title you've got. Obviously, with these teeth, I find it quite hard to get my head around it. What questions? Pam, you want to come in?
Thanks, Convener. Big page 65, School Crossing Patrol Service. I know I'm a bit like a cracked record on this, but I really just want to make the point again that the established guidelines that consider both pedestrian usage, particularly the number of primary school children crossing, and the volume and flow of vehicular traffic, should not be the only items in the equation. I mean, you know, children are 3 times more likely to be killed and injured in our poor areas as opposed to our more wealthy areas. So the equation needs to be how many more children, you know, or fewer children are needed for, you know, for a crossing in SIMD 1 and 2. And I know that Sinclair Street is in the next item, and yes, I'll come back. But I just, it's just a plea that that the research about child deaths and injuries is taken account of in how we allocate this. I understand that there are national guidelines, but you know, we have more information now, and I just it's not really a question, I suppose, because I understand these, you know, it's a national approach, but it's a plea that somehow be updated. Thank you.
I'll bring Ruth in, let Ruth comment on it. Ruth?
Yeah, and I absolutely understand the concerns. I think it's the West of Scotland guidelines we use, so rather than the national approach. And what I would say is that actually we are more generous than the approach allows for. So if we were to follow the guidelines to the absolute letter, we'd have far fewer crossing patrols. So actually, there is some license taken a bit in that we've kept more crossing patrollers on.
Thank you. Thank you.
And what I would say, Pam, of course, we'll get Chris viewing this. We had the Environment Regeneration meeting just last week there, where we again restated our position with regard to 20-mile
Yes.
speed limits, which you know, I think again, when you're looking at it
Speed.
in the general,
Yeah.
would be a good thing, especially in our housing schemes. So
Absolutely. Thank you, convener.
I'm bringing, sorry. Sandra, sorry, Sandra.
Thanks, convener. I've just got a question and a comment. Shall I take them both at once, or do you want them one at a time?
Just together. Sandra,
Together.
give us your
Right, so
comment
the
and then your
first
question if you want.
The first one question is page 49. It comes under Port Glasgow Sports Hub, but actually kind of affects the Gourock Sports Hub as well. I was invited to a meeting there about the Bothy closing. So you've got a statement in there. Bothy attended a hub meeting promoting their health walks, buggy walks, and discussed starting one in partnership with Branston Community Centre. And I just wondered what the closure of the Bothy, what effect it would have on that initiative, and if the committee knows any funding that's in place to either still continue with the walking part that the Bothy did and the cycling part as well, since the external funding has been cut.
I'll get you to answer the question first of all, Sandra, and then allow you to come in with a comment. Hugh?
Thank you.
Thanks very much for the question, Councillor Reynolds. We are aware of the impact of the national funding being cut to support the Bothy. We're still having discussions about what impact it does with some of the other groups that's going on. So at the present moment, some of the community centres are still running some of the facilities until we get more clearer understanding on that. My understanding that there could be some national money coming to support the other national money coming to support the Bothy, but that was just a conversation I had on Friday, so we're still waiting for clarity on that. But at the moment, the Bothy haven't applied for any community grants or anything to support their project previously in the previous year. So it's more they were relying on the national money coming in, but we are still engaging with them, trying to take it forward.
Is that okay?
Thanks, Hugh. Would it be okay to keep me informed about that so that I can inform the Gourock Sports Hub committee, since it asked me to ask these questions and find out a bit more from other folk?
Yeah, as soon as we get any more information, I'll send it to you.
That's great, thank you. My other comment is about page 62 to 64. The report on young people's health and wellbeing substance. I'm really pleased to see a positive report on this, and the comments from pupils in S1 right up to S6, particularly the ones on them realising the effect of vaping. I find quite positive and encouraging. And And just a comment that this work is really important, and that it should be sustained. Only last week I was talking to a parent in a local school whose young daughter told her that 3 of her friends in S1 had started vaping, and that's only just recently. So obviously this good education project, along with other substance abuses, is very, very necessary. So thank you for that.
Thanks for that. I'll bring
Yeah, just to get an update on that, we've now secured additional funding to continue the project until June 2026, and during the work in the schools, because we felt ourselves has been very successful, and we got some additional money from the Alcohol and Drugs Partnership.
Excellent.
Right, thanks you. I'll bring Francesca in.
Thanks very much, convener. Yeah, so a quick follow up on the issues with the body, just since Councillor Reynolds has rightly brought that up. I think there was also the opportunity as well. I'd know that I'd spoken to Councillor Wilson and his role on SPT, because I think the sort of information that we got about it was saying that there might be a chance for that group to apply through a newer funding opportunity through SPT. And I know that I'd asked Councillor Wilson, I suppose that request would be extended to everyone to make sure the body group are apprised, if that's the right word, of all the potential funding opportunities that they could access. So I think that would be important for them as well, because it is like Councillor Reynolds, I'm sure, was saying, it's a really good group doing great work. So it's just on this report specifically, it's just such a huge range of work being done with CLD, and you see that in this report, just a real vast array of things. So I wouldn't want to pick anything out, but just a big thanks to all the staff who've been involved in putting all that on. And I suppose I don't want to pick anything out, but if I had to, just because it's right there, I suppose it's just to highlight the great work going on with Duke of Edinburgh, because I think you see in the photos here that annual event that takes place at Town Hall, and you can see when you're there just the pride from the families that are there with the young people. And also from, I think, the organisation of Duke of Edinburgh itself, just to see what an achievement that is to get so many young people involved in getting that chance for that outdoor expedition is really, really meaningful and really important. So a big thanks to everybody for that. And then also I'm sure if Councillor Cassidy was here in his community council's champion role, he would be wanting to highlight and thank all the work that went on to the community councils elections. That was great work, loads more community councils, but just that two, this is from myself now, just that 2 outstanding community councils, just always a request to be keeping an eye on that, because I think especially if one of them's like in the centre of the Greenock, you just want to make sure that sort of community council voice is heard there, if we can possibly get something moving on that as soon as possible. But just loads of excellent work in there. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Francesca. I'll bring you in.
Yeah, just on the community councils, we are bringing a full report back to the full council on community councils, and it gives what we're trying to do to get these 2 installed.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Francesca. And I guess on the Duke of Edinburgh, what's particularly pleasing is the SMID 1 and 2. I think we're second highest in Scotland. So again, you know, if people are saying, oh no, that's only people from the West End or from other places, I think that's testament to the work that Hugh and his team are doing to make sure that every young person's engaged in the Duke of Edinburgh. So again, well done on that. Sorry, Ruth, would you want to come in?
No, I was just going to come in and say we're one of the most inclusive take-ups of the Duke of Edinburgh, the whole of the UK. So well done to the team with that. It's really a very positive picture of it looked like.
Okay, and I'll bring Francesca.
No, that's absolutely right, and that's what I was thinking as well, because I think I saw that on the night, even the information that's in there about the ESN involvement as well. You could see those relationships that have been built to make it that inclusive, not just in terms of disadvantage, but also in terms of ability and disability as well. That was great.
Okay, thank you. Can we agree the paper?
Thanks, Sandra.
Oh, sorry. Sandra, you come back in.
Sorry, just to come back, I omitted just to say about the bothy is like two streams of funding there. I'm sure it's far more complicated than that, but it seems that there might be pots of money for the walking bit to fund that in some kind of format, and the cycling bit, I noticed that Royce is promoting a centre from the old Mothercare shop in Greenock. So that funding is there for that. So I think they've got about, I don't know, 8 to a dozen e-bikes there, which is a perfect place because it's near the cycle path, etc. So if that was noted in a future report, that would be great. If just to verify that and note it so that that's updated.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks.
thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. I can see Hugh busy scribbling away there. Thank you. I'll bring you in for the last point in this section.
Yeah, thanks, Convener. Again, just back on the cycling part, we're looking at page 66, the bikeability, the cycling progress for Gavin schools, which seems to be coming on absolutely superbly fantastic. And it's just a point really to say that when we look at that and we see that the young generation are cycling and taking part in a physical activity, and we see the sustained, contribution to the town and all the cycle paths that have been built, despite the fact that we seem to get negativity from maybe motorists in the press, etc. I think we've got to look to the future and see that youngsters are wanting to out cycling and the benefits they get, and that Susstrain is looking to develop that and enhance it. And I think it's a positive that we should be noting more rather than trying to see, there's a car part in the cycle path, what we'll do about it, etc.
Thanks for your comment, Ian. I think we can agree with that. And with that, can we agree the paper?
Agree.
And can we move on to the local and national initiatives update paper? And I'll get Tony to come in on that. Tony.
Thanks, Convener. So this is the update report that I put into the committee. And it's just to give you an update on some of the national and local initiatives and what some of the services for the communities are involved in. I've mentioned, I don't intend to go through the detailed report, but just, I suppose, I want to highlight the continued really good work of our library services, community spaces, and also, I suppose, health improvement spaces as well. And you can see from all of the aspects that we talked about there that it's really much more than lending and real community hubs for organisations for the public to get involved in a lot of health improvement activities. So I really just want to commend the service for the work that they do, beyond to that lending aspect, and just understanding that they continue to do a lot of work with HSCP and others in order to improve the health of the community. Just an update on the Watt Institution and the number of initiatives that is going on there at the moment. They're looking at the reanimating the past and really bringing in, if you can bring the natural sciences to life, if you know what I mean, because most of them are stuck. But to actually look at some of the great work that's going on in the museum, and there was excellent work at the weekend there for young families around butterflies, reanimating and understanding the biodiversity of Inverclyde, and really just a continued effort to try and open up the Watt Institution to the people that live here, and so that they understand that this collection belongs to them and that they can access it. So I continue to work within that. The music service, obviously, we continue to have real success there, particularly with pipes and drums, and also a junior wind orchestra, and also just a reminder that the concert's on Thursday, the 27th of March, not Friday, so that's an error there. Sorry, I won't be there again, which is really bad of me, but I intend to be back at Christmas. Just to say that also an update on the police standard tool around community safety. That work has now begun, and we are going to be doing a bit of work around the East Neighbourhood area around community safety around this pilot project. A walk and talk events planned for the 26th of March, and we've sent flyers out to local schools as well and parents to get involved in that. School crossing patrol at Sinclair Street, Councillor Armstrong, we mentioned that before, just to let you know that we wouldn't be reinstating that because of there is no requirement at this stage, but we will continue to monitor it. And an update on the management information system for inclusive communities, as it's now known, and that will help us look at the impact of some of the programmes that we're putting in. And that's quite an extensive piece of work, but just to give an update on that's in there. I don't intend to go through the full details. We've touched on Boglestone already, but tried to bring that together to let members know, because there is a lot of activity around we keep talking about Bolstow, but it's Upper Port Glasgow, I suppose. It's a wider community type initiative that's based within Bolstow. So 31st of March in briefing, already for Bolstow.
Yes.
Upper Port Glasgow. And also there's just an outstanding remit we had here around the new smoke alarm legislation. You may remember a couple of years ago, some activity around the legislation that smoke alarms had to be hardwired into houses. So we asked the Private Regeneration Services to give us an update on that. So as you can see, the legislation is not as concerning as it once was, but there's still a significant amount of effort going in to try and do that. And if I can try and answer any questions on that, I can, but otherwise I'll be going back to Environment Regen if there's something technical about it. So happy to take any questions on the aspect.
Thank you, Hugh. I'll open up to questions. Elizabeth?
Thanks. I now wish I had about 10 questions about smoke alarms. I don't have any, I'm afraid. Fabulous. And actually, it's not even a question from me, it's a comment. We had the Alliance board at the Law Institution yesterday, and it was just amazing. So we had about 25 of our regional and national and local partners with us, a lot of whom have never been in the building, and they loved it. You know, they absolutely loved it, and it was lovely being able to kind of host them and show them that building that we love and that we know and that we've invested in, just with and see with maybe different eyes and see how they saw it. The reanimating the past, it's incredible the work that Noel's done on that, and I know it's sector leading and it's been very well received, but I think we really need to shout more about that a wee bit, because it's really incredible what he's done. And I actually watched, we didn't see the full presentation, we didn't see the VR demonstration. I got the VR headset, but I didn't, I held back. And when we showed the paper with the butterflies on it and things, I looked at our partners' faces, and they're grown adults, and they look like when they wonder as children at what we're seeing, and that's what we're doing in our Law Institution. And I was just dead proud yesterday, and I just wanted to tell everybody.
No, Elizabeth, thanks. It's always worthwhile. Can I bring Pam in, Pam?
Thanks, Karina. Well, yes, Sinclair Street. First of all, Sinclair Street is effectively closed at the moment at the bridge. So, you know, any look at what's going on at Sinclair Street at the moment is, you know, not representative of Sinclair Street when the road is fully open. I don't for a minute think we shouldn't have a school crossing patrol at Blairmore. I mean, I've been there when the school's going in, I've been there when the school's going out. I fully appreciate the need for a control on there. My view in Ward 3 is that we need two. We actually need both. And I know the report says no concerns have been raised at school. Partly, I think the school is obviously much closer to Blairmore Road, and I have to stress that the Community Council have raised serious concerns about it. So the school might not have, but the Community Council has. So that's my comment on that. And then on to smoke alarm. I did get a bit confused about this because I didn't really understand why it was here. And I have a question about. So I wondered why it's here. But then I think it seems to cross so many committees and boards. I mean, you know, Environment and Regeneration, the Landlords Registration Subcommittee of the General Purposes Board, and so I suppose I wondered why it was here, and I think very helpfully there's a bit of an explanation for that. But then the question is, what checks? You know, what checks are made? Is anybody making any checks? Because as I understand it, it's just a tick box. You know, is this that we tick? Does anybody? Is there some sort of kind of trawl of whether those questions have been answered honestly? But I don't know if it's for this committee to answer these things. Thank you.
I'll bring in the corporate director, actually. I'll let Tony off for that and bring in the corporate director. She should have a corporate overview.
Councillor Alfred, you're absolutely correct. It's not the remit of this committee to look at the smoke alarm legislation. What happened was we gave an update because we look at the wider community safety, and it was mentioned in an update about the new smoke alarm legislation, and we were asked for a follow-up when the update went, so it's sitting as an outstanding remit. It's not the worst thing in the world to check back in, but it's not the remit of the committee to take the responsibility for it.
Thank you. And I suppose, Pam, the lead-on question is whose responsibility is it then? So I dare say that will probably come up. It comes up at environment regeneration, so I guess, and police and fire as well. So I guess that's where any future questions should be aimed towards.
Thank you.
I'm going to bring Natasha in. Natasha.
Thanks, convener. Yes, so a slightly different vein for me. I just wanted to acknowledge a lot of the good work that's happening and can be seen throughout this paper actually. It's from things such as the library community spaces, knowing that our staff are being developed in a good way and our adult services and music services are doing well. It's really important to me as a councillor to make sure that we're allowing our officers and those that are involved in these different areas to be given the recognition that they should have. So just thank you to our officers who are running the pilots and helping modernise our systems and things. It is invaluable work that you are doing, and I'm quite intrigued to see the outputs of some of the things that we've got in this report and in future meetings. And finally, I just want to wish the Junior Wind Orchestra all the best. I think it says 15th of March. I don't know, I didn't hear how they got on there, but hopefully this weekend when they compete, we'll have a good update, and good luck to them. Thanks, Karina.
Natasha, Ruth's busy kicking Tony under the table, so I'll bring Tony in on
No,
that.
it's okay. I just think it's important.
No, it's important.
To recognise that there's a lot of good work in this paper. I know that there's a lot of questions being asked, which were really helpful questions. But, you know, across the piece, a lot of our services are improving, and it's important that we acknowledge our young people that are taking that step out in those championships. So thank you, convener.
Just to comment, convener, that it took place this weekend, that weekend there, and we won, and so it was a gold award for the Junior Wind Orchestra, so I'm absolutely delighted that they got that. But I'll provide some more information on that in the next committee, but thanks for that.
Okay, sorry Tony, and congratulations then to them. Thanks everybody.
Any other questions? No other questions, just thanks for the report. Tony, again, you highlighted the good work that's getting done in libraries, and we do it constantly all the time, but again, take back our thanks to our library service and all our service, because that is a good update paper. And with that, can we move on to agenda item number 6, which is the interim review of Inverclyde's antisocial behaviour strategy. This is 2020 to 2025. Hugh.
For yourself, convener. The reason that this is the committee is that we've got responsibility and liability to do the strategy for community safety and anti-social behaviour coming under that. So that's why it sits for education and community. This report is, as was stated in the paper, is that we've had an anti-social behaviour and it runs out in 2025. At the moment, we're in discussions with Scottish Government because they have got a new review going on of community safety and community justice across Scotland. And at the moment, what we're asking for within the paper is to continue doing what we're doing. But we have set up a working group to look at moving this group forward and looking at community safety issues across Inverclyde. And the plan would be that we'd bring a full report back and a plan. And once we have the outdoor, the information back from Scottish Government and how they way to take it forward. We have a legal responsibility as a local authority, and the Chief Constable is to prepare a joint anti-social behaviour strategy. So that's why we have to do that. Happy to take any questions on the report.
Thank you, Hugh. I'm going to open up to questions. I've got Elizabeth. Elizabeth first.
Thanks. Thanks for the report, and obviously I note that it's interim while a national review takes place. And I know we've got a really active and really well established community safety partnership locally, which obviously feeds up to the Alliance as well. It's just a question that we had really was about emerging issues in antisocial behaviour. I think maybe the profile of things that people are bothered about changes over time or seasonally, or things become, if even then get dealt with or whatever. And it's just how we deal with that And the thing that triggered it for us was the issue of dirt bikes, which are a huge issue at the moment. And Councillor Moran and I were talking about it yesterday, actually. You know, but it maybe was an issue quite so much 5 years ago or 6 years ago. So how do we deal with emerging issues? How do we bring things on and have new tactics for dealing with emerging issues and antisocial behaviour?
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Yes, convener. We have two working groups. We have a strategic group that looks at the strategic responsibility, and underneath that we've got a safety partnership working group that looks at all the key items that's going on. Obviously that ties into the hub, the sub model, and also partners around the table to look at what's current concerns. And because Councillor Conway has raised it with me on a weekly basis around the dirt bikes that the area going on. So we are looking at and best things to take that forward. What we want to try and do with the new approach is to make sure that we've got something within the new strategy that can bring things up to the top when we need to bring things up and take it back down again. So we're waiting for obviously what the government is saying to us about the crossover between community safety and community justice. Okay. So that's been, but we are aware of that. So the two groups work together and they feed up to a group. I think it was Chair Still Chair, wasn't it? Oh, Chair. As a specialist Chair by the area commander. So we are working on that because it's important to know what's going on. Yeah.
Okay, Elizabeth.
Tony.
Can I bring? Yeah, Tony. Yeah.
It's just one additional item that we also, for community safety, undertake a strategic needs assessment as well every time we renew. So we look at the data and what's the data telling us in terms of the particular community safety needs across Inverclyde, and what that's telling us and things like that would be feeding in, as well as what Hugh said about the hub as well, all the kind of qualitative data coming in from that as well. So we try and keep up to date with the emerging issues so that we're not left with a strategy or a plan that's not addressing the needs that have just been reflected in the community.
Okay.
Thank you. Francesca?
Thanks, convener. Yeah, I think it was just to say that, you know, it's really good to get sight of this strategy. I think we hear quite often like a thread running through a lot of what you hear as councillors about that partnership approach that Inverclyde has when it comes to community safety, and I just think it's just important to recognise that. I think what you hear, like that work that goes on with yourselves and police partners and RSLs and other stakeholders, seems to bring. I think we might not always see it, but I'm sure there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes that means that what we'd see out in the community could be a bit worse than what we actually do. Because I know that as you know, as elected members and very much other council officers, you hear a lot about antisocial behaviour, but I think that partnership approach seems to be something really productive here in Inverclyde. So it's just thanks to everyone who's involved with that.
Thanks, Francesca. Can't see anybody online. Bobby, sorry, Councillor McLean.
Thank you, convener. I'm happy to support recommendations and looking at community safety partnership hub, but the most important thing I think this support is the Inverclyde partnership hub, which myself and Ruth spoke about a few years ago, and Ruth took it forward, and I think it's been very successful, and it's a very successful tool. I've found when you're raising issues with them and they take it forward, and if you've not used it, I advise members to use it, because rather than what we had in the past when we're going around in circles, now we've got everything in one area with all the stakeholders involved. It's very, very, very good. I've found it. But when I'm reading through the paper in page 10 of the report, it's a big gap for me. It talks about community councils and who attends the community councils, and it says representatives from Police Scotland. Now, I can't remember the last time I've seen a police officer at a community council. I don't know how we fix that, right? Because we've had the briefings from Police Scotland in the past, but I think it's a big gap, because I think residents found it good to talk to police in private or in public, and we all knew our community co-ops maybe 3 or 4 years ago, whereas I don't know mine now. Well, I think that's a gap. How we fix it, I don't know. It's maybe a conversation at a higher level, but everybody else is here. I think for an hour a month, I don't think it's a major impact on police time, but
I'll bring Hugh or Tony in, but I know the police have changed their whole way of dealing with it. We had Carmel Bay and Greenock West, and we both had the community wardens and the police officer there, which is good. But he was even saying how he's not going to be there next month. So the idea of that continuity, if it's Sunday turn not, it's always good. But I know they've changed their model, and I don't know if you or Tony wishes to say anything on that.
Yeah, I suppose it was just to say that we've got a community safety strategy strategic group coming up this week, so certainly raise that. And as the convener said, I think it's difficult for them to get across all, but even if there was a presence at intermittent, you know, I can certainly raise those concerns with the police at that point and say, you know, to try and at least get, or what the expectations, could you get one every whatever?
Members of the public have noticed, because it does come up, you know, it does come up, so I think it's maybe a second try. I don't know how we fix it, as I say, it's a much higher level, but it is as far as I see, a gap in the process. Thanks.
Tony, do you want to go back in and you finished? Oh, you've got Tony's assurance that he'll raise that this week, is it this week or next week?
Monday.
Monday. Okay. Perfect. Anybody else? Can't see anybody in line. Can we agree the paper?
Agreed.
Thank you. And can we move along to agenda item number 7, which is the new approach to ESOL. Sorry about that. Hugh.
Thanks, Commissioner. Just this is the paper on the new approach to English for speakers of another language across the authority. Within our report, we give you an update on where we were and where we hope to do. Within the report, we can see there's an increase of a lot of new learners coming to our services. We have a partnership with HSCP. I'm also in partnership with the college to try and do the best we can. The proposal that we've had though is that at the moment that all learners should get up to 8 hours a month for training. So we're now trying to increase that to make sure the offer is tailored to their needs, but also tailored within the community they live in. One of the biggest challenges we've got at the moment is that learners are looking for travel expenses to get to some of the centres. So we're working with HSCP to try and resource that for them to attend. Our current learners at the moment is went up 1,000% over the last couple of years. The number of new residents come into Inverclyde. So this is just an update on how we're hoping to deal with that. It's just so committee knows, and we'll bring a full report back when we get more details. But we are still getting some funding from UK Home Office to support the initiative.
Thanks. Hugh, I'll open up. I can see a question from Elizabeth.
Thanks, Commissioner. I think if we acknowledge that something has to change to do things better and be more effective, then making that change is obviously absolutely the right thing to do, and I think that's to everybody's credit that we're bringing that forward. I just want to check that if we are making changes that we hope are going to see improvements, that we've got kind of measures in place to kind of track that and make sure that the changes are in fact yielding an improvement.
Yeah. As Tony said in our previous report, we've now brought on a handling system to make sure that we're following all the learning opportunities for all learners. So that will give us a better data to travel. Where we are with the element of ESOL that we provide is that the next stage should be to the college. Yeah. Right, so we are stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, 4 goes to the college. There's a challenge in the college at the moment because of the number of classes, but they can go to Paisley if they need more. So we can see that pathway happening across there, but that is a challenge for us.
Okay. Come back in with that, actually, just in terms of the kind of pathway towards the college, what discussions are taking place to make sure that the pathway remains as robust as it can within the Inverclyde area, so that we're, one, not incurring travel costs when we absolutely don't need to. There's a college campus right here, and 2, making sure that the speakers of other languages who are living in Inverclyde are able to do their learning in Inverclyde the same way everybody else does.
Yeah, for yourself, this has been brought up at a national level, part of the independent review of CLD about the breakdown between the local authorities and the colleges. So there's a paper been going to COSLA on that as a priority to try and break that and have more communication around that, because the key thing at the present moment is there is a gap and we need to do it. Locally, we're interacting with the college, so that we know how many are due to go up to the next class. But they're looking for, I think they're looking for 12 per class. Sometimes we've not got 12, they might need to wait because we're going to get 6 to one. So there's that whole process going on, but we are interacting with them all the time.
I'm really sorry to push that because I know that's obviously a perennial issue with the college. We need 12, but if we've got 6 here and 6 in Paisley, the 6 from Paisley could come down to Everclyde and do a class down here. Let's maybe push for that. And can I just ask that we maybe get kept abreast of this? I think it is one of several challenges that are occurring with the college, and it would be great to know how this all pans out.
Yeah, there is a partnership group chaired by the college around the West Partnership, so we'll raise it to them.
And maybe just take a wee note on that, maybe get a wee report back in 6 months to a year time. And what Elizabeth said is absolutely right. I mean, our population figures are stark. So really, anybody that comes into Inverclyde, we need to try to do the best possible to keep them here and to generate that increase in their population, or else Inverclyde is not going to be here in 10 years' time. So all these things are obviously, from a strategy point of view, are linked together. We welcome new Scots in. We try and make sure they see beautiful weather like this. Inverclyde's a good place. But the infrastructure's got to be there, like what ESOL has got to be there to make sure they feel welcome there as well. So I totally agree what you say, and we'll get a report back to maybe 6 months to a year's time. I'm going to bring Innes in. Innes?
Yeah, just asking, there must be difficulties here with people of all different languages, and I just wondered how, recruiting people to be able to deal with all this, or are people who speak the one language all sent to kind of one place where there's a teacher that can speak that? How's it dealt with?
Tony.
Most of our staff are trained to work with any people coming in. What we try and do is an open community group. So what we look at is who's attending and what session they're doing. If we need to go into smaller sessions, we look at that for the best way of doing it. But what we're finding is that Youth to Scholars are probably the majority of people who are coming in to our groups at the present moment. So we are aware of that, but we are working with every learner that comes in.
Innes actually talking about the land. Oh, sorry.
No, they don't need to speak the language, sorry. No, they're just us.
So that must prove very challenging, well, to the people that are learning more than as much as the person that's teaching it. Because how can you learn a language, if you can't compare it to your own language? That's what I'm saying, must be very, very difficult.
I think the basic training that we give is very basic. So they start from the very start of the English language and they work through that. There is a communication there because people do understand basics English. So what they do is that they assess them before they come in, and then they stage them. So where do they go to? How many times do they need interventions? So that's the way they do it, and then they work together. We have support from HSCP if we need anybody to come in and support if they don't understand, and we've also got a worker from HSCP who's language-based who would support that too if it was necessary. Sorry, Mr.
No, I just thought that, logically it might have been better to deal with people who all speak the same language or languages in one place, but I don't.
It's whoever turns up in the community.
We don't need an interpreter.
No.
I suppose that is
It's a different model.
It's a different model.
Is that okay, Innes? We'll bring Francesca in.
Thanks, convener. Yeah, thanks. It was just prompted by your councillor Nelson's point. I think I was really fortunate to work at Annesland College at a time when I think I was trying to remember, like Glasgow, it was, a good number of years ago, and I think Glasgow had welcomed, was it about 30,000 refugees at that point, and the ESOL course was something that was really established there for the reason, because I suppose, like Councillor Clougherty says, completely agree with Councillor Clougherty, want to associate myself with his comments about when people come to Inverclyde, we want to get them as welcomed as possible, give them every encouragement to stay here, because I think, we know that language we all know that from, like, if we've been lucky enough to go and travel somewhere to another country, that can be one of the biggest barriers to participation in community life. So you know that's something you need to get right as quickly as possible for all people. And seeing that creche facility is really important as well. But I suppose, you know, it's a really established, I know that from my time in the college, it's a really established pathway of like teaching people English that there is. I don't even know, I'm not sure, like I know when I worked at British Council as well, there are specific programmes that are specifically just for teaching English to people of other languages that are there. So I'm sure the staff are more than ready for it, which is hopefully the case. Thanks.
Thanks, Francesca. Okay. Can we agree the report?
Agreed.
And I thank everybody for the participation in the community part. I'll see everybody back at 4 o'clock. Yes, you're more welcome to come at 4 o'clock as well.
Yeah, I forced myself to go to the